How are you today? We've now moved on to section 2 of the book, which is the supporting principles. When I was writing this book, I had a number of principles to which I adhered throughout, and chapters 3, which I'm starting now, up to 10, enunciate what those principles are. And I thought I should start by giving you a sort of an overview of the model of strategic management that I have developed to support this book. So let's have a look at the timeless model of strategic management. There's really 4 elements to it: the theory, the analysis, and finally the result. The theory comprises the sort of principles that drove me along when I was writing the book. The strategic analysis is the heart of the book. It tells managers how to conduct an analysis of any company. And finally, the result, of course, should be a strategic plan, a plan which will drive the company, any company, forward in the future. Each of these has considerable detail within it. I'm just laying them out now so that you can see them to get an overall picture. There's so much in them that I think it would be inappropriate at this stage to go through them, but there's a few little things that should be appearing now. One is that an element that's absolutely key is the markets that the company addresses. Another thing that's absolutely key is the competitive position of the company. Two other things. The first is how well the company is led, and finally, and in many ways most importantly, how good is the company at using its assets. Well, as you know, this chapter is about the supporting principles, so let me look at those in just a little more detail. Here they are. I have 7 principles, and let me just go through them in a little bit more detail. The first is that this book should be based upon scientific research. It should not be based on anecdotes, good news stories, bad news stories. It should be based on science. The second element is that the analysis that's carried out in this book should apply to every type of firm. It shouldn't be specific to a specific size of firm or a specific industry. The third one is for many people the most important, and that is you never ever need to do a refresher, because if the principles that we enunciate are timeless, they're always going to work, no matter what the era is. The third one is maybe a little different. I believe that managers engaged in strategy have to look many ways at once. They have to look at the top of the company, they have to look at the bottom of the company, they have to look outside the company, inside the company, and I call that the Janus principle, which we'll flesh out later on. Next element is that the strategic plan which the managers developed should be succinct, and that it should be possible for managers to carry all this information in their head. So you don't need to consult books, you have it in your head. The second last principle is that it's applicable, that it's not some esoteric hypothetical model, it's one that you can use, and you can use it the day after you learn it, or even the day that you learn it. And the final thing is that the whole effort of strategy should be about generating superior profits. The whole exercise is pointless if there are no profits at the end of the day. Next element is the product market detail. And here, in very simple terms, we want to look first of all at our markets. Are they good? Are they average? Or are they poor? Or if we're thinking of entering a market, is it likely to be a good market? Or is it likely to be a pretty poor market? We also want to look at our competitive position. Do we regard ourselves relative to our competitors as strong or weak or average? And if we're average, could we become strong? What would we need to do? Next element. So looking at element 3, it's the corporate detail. And as you will see, I have moved the title down to the bottom of the screen, and in a later podcast you'll see why I've done that. And in terms of this, we want to look at 2 things. First of all, the overall top leadership of the firm. How good is it? Excellent? Very good? Good? poor? Hugely important that it's good. So if we have leaders that aren't particularly good, can we advise them how they could become better? We also need to look at our asset utilisation. Many firms have very high levels of fixed assets. What effect does this have on the bottom line of such firms? And is it good? Is it bad? What way should it be? And the final element, element 4, is the future plan. And this is the ultimate aim of the whole process, to move from having a vague or embryonic concept of what a strategic plan is to a full-blown strategic plan with much more detail. This doesn't give the full detail. It's more complicated than that, but it's still not very complicated. It's fairly simple. So let me return once again to the timeless model of strategic management. And just to repeat, there are 3 elements: the theory, the analysis, and the result. And this book is about intriguing you to join with me in having this approach to the strategic analysis of any firm. At this point in time, as usual, it's time to look at the credits. And once again, as usual, almost all the hardware, software, and music has come from Apple. So it just remains for me to thank you for listening to this podcast and to hope that you will listen to some more in the future. And once again, thank you very much for listening to the podcast, and goodbye.